What up to all the Patreon members, all the subscribers, all the new viewers? I want to thank you guys for your support. Really means a lot. Click the link in the description box below for the Patreon page. I'm going to post another Patreon video tonight, so you don't want to miss that. Let me say this before I get started in this video. The last live stream, I wasn't trying to promote engaging with prostitution, right? Obviously, to a certain degree, it is legal in Thailand because if you actually read the law in Thailand, it's actually illegal, but it's just wide open. I guess they just allow it over there, but technically it's illegal. But here's the thing, like, I'm saying that's an option, especially for people, well, actually men traveling to these countries with their hearts on their sleeves. You go someplace, and to be honest, most relationships that I got in, it just kind of happened. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't pursuing it. I wasn't desperate for a girlfriend or relationship. It wasn't even on my mind. It just happened. So that's why I say, hey, if you're going to places like Pattaya, Phuket, and all these red light districts in Bangkok, right? You're going to the biggest red light districts in these cities in Thailand, complaining about how women are prostituting themselves over here. That to me, that doesn't make sense. That's like you going to Chuck E. Cheese for the pizza and complaining that there's a bunch of noisy kids in there. It's Chuck E. Cheese. All right. You're at Chuck E. Cheese. That's kind of how, especially a lot of brothers with Thailand, it's like you can't go to Thailand and complain that women are offering their body for a price. That doesn't make any sense. All right. As a matter of fact, if you are looking for something serious, well, I don't want to get too deep into it. My suggestion is if you're looking for a relationship that might lead to marriage, you would have to relocate to Thailand. And that's what I'm going to talk about in this video right here. You would have to relocate and move to Thailand. All right. And once you relocate and move to Thailand, that doesn't mean you just start, putting out girlfriend applications, giving girlfriend applications to women who aren't even trying to fill out an application. Does that make sense? So, just having your fun and also paying, that will keep your mind off of things. And I promise, like, if you kind of stay in that lane, a relationship, a woman that you're looking for will probably just fall in your lap without even you thinking about it or pursuing it. It just kind of happens. All right. But anyway, let's get into it. So, marriage and having children in Thailand. So, you meet a woman you've been dating for quite a while. She's everything you would hope and dream of. And now you want to take things to the next level because not only will be good for you to be in a marriage so that you won't have children out of wedlock, but at the same time, it helps you with your immigration situation. It helps you with your visa status. It's kind of like I have a little bit more freedom to, instead of work full time at a job that I don't want to be at, I can work part time over here, part time over here, start a business over here, volunteer over here. I can set my own schedule, right? Or I don't have to. I don't have to be within the constraints and confined within the constraints of what a typical entry level job structure is within Thailand for foreigners. Does that make sense? because most of these jobs, people that are single, have a job, trying to maintain status just to live in Thailand, they're not making a lot of money. They're not making as much money as they probably could be making. And, you know, some of these hours are crazy. Some of these places, they want you to come in at 7 in the morning and they want you to, it's like a 7 to 5 p.m. schedule, right? A 10-hour a day schedule. You're working 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. And guess what? Most people only making $1,000 a month, right? When you could be making, hundreds of baht per hour and work half the time and get paid double the money, because you're not getting paid. You're not working continuously. You're not working the entire time. In a 10-hour day, there's some days when you're probably only teaching for maybe 2 or 3 hours. All right. And that's not per hour. It's a salary per month. When if you get a marriage visa, now it's kind of like, okay, I can work part-time over here, over at this language center, Then on the weekends, I teach at this language center. Then I teach private. So instead of making 30,000 baht per month, you can end up making 80,000, 90,000 baht per month, right? And it helps to do that. You can do that. You kind of can sort of do that with a work visa. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. You'll never be home, with your family. You won't ever have the time to schedule certain things around the schedule that you have in order to maintain the financial stability of your household, and be able to balance, going to your son or daughter's extracurricular activity or extracurricular events, right? After school, whether it be a play, it's a sporting event. It's kind of tough when you're on a work permit. So it's better to have a marriage visa, right? And to get married. Now, here's the thing about marriage visas. Just because you have a marriage visa doesn't mean that you're clear from tapping in at an immigration office every single year, right? No. You're thinking, okay, I don't have a work visa anymore. I have a marriage visa, so I don't have to go to immigration and renew every single year. I don't have to do a 90-day report or whatever. I'm in the clear. No. You still have to. I don't know if people that are married have to do a 90-day report. I'm not sure, but I do know they have to renew their marriage visa every single year. They still have to tap in with immigration every single year. They want to make sure that, hey, if your wife divorced you, it's time to go. The day your wife divorces you and it's finalized, they want you to go. They don't want you to think that you could just be on overstay. And okay, you're married, now you're divorced, and after your divorce, it's been 5 years, and you're still in Thailand, kind of in limbo, because you canceled out your marriage visa. So what's your status now, right? And the immigration office, the government hasn't been informed. They don't want that. The day your marriage visa gets canceled, they're going to say, hey, what are you doing now? Nope, you can't get a tourist visa. You're working towards a working visa. Okay, we'll allow you to process that. But just a tourist visa to do what? Nah, it's time for you to go. All right. But a marriage visa, it helps as far as business, right? Marriage is a business, and it helps as far as business to roam around freely. Well, I want to say do whatever you want, but it gives you a lot more wiggle room to handle business within Thailand. You can start a business, but if you start a business, right, you have to have a Thai business partner. And I'm gonna talk about that in another video. I think somebody Thai has to own like 51%, suit the scant dollar, 51% of the business. That's why some guys, they go into business with their wives, or they might be married and go into business with another business partner. But for the most part, you can start a business, and um, you can start a business freely. You can, work part time, full time, set up your own schedule, teach over here, um, you know, do modeling over here, right? This photo right now that you're watching on screen, this is an AI generated picture. It looks very, very real. But the imagery of this, I mean, I've seen this image right here every day when I was in Thailand, right? You might be looking at the child in the baby stroller thinking, okay, that doesn't look like his kid. But I've seen this many, many times. I've seen this image right here many, many times. There's a lot of stepdads in Thailand. There's a lot of guys that come from Australia, New Zealand, somewhere in Europe, America, Canada, you name it. And they'll come over and wife up a woman who already has a child, play stepdad, have another child, and they build a family. Father is nowhere near in the picture. Thai government doesn't go after these men for child support. There's a lot of single mothers in Thailand, and you have a lot of men coming through playing stepdaddy. And are they in love? I think so, right? But it's like, I want to build a family, build a business. That's why they go after the marriage visa. Okay, I've never been married in Thailand, so I don't know the ins and outs of the visas. I don't know all the restrictions, but I do know that they still have to check in every single year. I do know that. I've met several people that were married in Thailand. All right. So you get married. Now, the freedom of you getting different jobs throughout the week or over the weekend is there. It's available now. Plus, plus, um, I don't, I'm not sure. As a matter of fact, let me look it up right now. Uh, Thai marriage visa. Do you still have to do 90-day report? Let's look it up right now. Yes, if you're on a Thai marriage visa, non-O, you are legally required to complete the 90-day address report to inform immigration of your current residence. So here's the thing. Okay, so it's a non-O visa. Non-O visa in Thailand is a non-tourism visa for purposes like joining family, retirement, or volunteering, and is initially valid for 90 days but can be extended. I've heard for a year at a time. Okay. You got to fill out an application, financial proof. So if you go into Thailand and you plan on getting a non-O visa, a marriage visa, it's best you show up. Obviously, you want to know the person you're marrying first, but you need to work towards getting your work permit first. Work permit, work, because I'm pretty sure there's some guys that they arrive in Thailand and they get married because they probably known the person for quite some time already, right? But I get a work permit, then change that work permit into a non-O visa. But a non-O visa is probably it's almost, you still have to do the 90-day report and it's only valid for like a year. Then you got to check in every single year. And some people are saying, well, some some articles are saying that after entering Thailand with the 90-day visa, you must contact the Immigration Bureau to apply for a stay extension. If you wish to stay longer, you will need to report the immigration office every 90 days to keep your visa valid. All right. So you still have to do a 90-day report. That is terrible. And it's you that have to do it. Your wife can't show up to the immigration office on your behalf to do a 90-day report because she's a citizen. She doesn't have to go to immigration. Most Thais, unless they're dating or they're married to a foreigner, they don't know about the process you have to go through at immigration, which is a hellacious experience. All right. But does that mean do you have to do a 90-day report? Yes and no. Okay. The rules are whether it's a student visa, work permit, non-B visa, or a a non-O marriage visa, you you have to do a 90-day report. But if you don't, then let's say you show up next year to renew your uh to renew your marriage visa. They'll let you renew your marriage visa. You just have to pay a fine if you skip out on the 90-day report. But here's the thing. I don't know. They're cracking down so hard now. I don't know if they'll cancel your visa for skipping out on your 90-day visa. That's the thing. All right. The fee for a non-O visa is not even that much. It's only like $80 US dollars. Processing time. Well, I guess this is through. Oh, that's the Royal Thai Embassy in Washington, D.C. That's not what I want. Okay. Marriage. Let's look at just type in marriage visa Thailand. Thailand marriage visa Thai embassy. What is the Thailand marriage visa? It is a visa available to individuals who are married to a Thai citizen and meet the requirements set by the Immigration Bureau. Okay, applicants' eligibility: be married to a Thai national. This can be proven through a marriage certificate and a marriage registration. In the case that you've married outside of Thailand, either you or your spouse must inform the district office and acquire the core ROAR 22 family status registration form. Have a security deposit of 400,000 Thai baht in a bank account from an overseas source for at least 2 months before the visa application, or a monthly income of at least 40,000 Thai baht with a letter proving that it's been verified by the embassy. Okay. So it's either or. Have a security deposit of 400,000 Thai baht, which is what, $12,000, right? You need to have $12,000 in a bank to marry a woman if you coming in from overseas, or a monthly income of at least 40,000 Thai baht with the letter. So that's why I'm saying, when you enter to the country and you find a job, get a work visa. I mean, there's several companies that will pay you 40,000 Thai baht, even if they're not paying you 40,000. Let's say they're paying you 35,000. The immigration office, they'll give it a pass, right? They'll say, okay, we'll give you a waiver. You have your marriage certificate. That's fine. Application process: you must first acquire a 90-day non-immigration O visa from the Thai embassy or consulate in your home country or country of residence. Okay. Alternatively, this visa can also be obtained from neighboring countries of Thailand. Travel to Thailand to activate the non-immigrant O visa when you go through customs at the airport. Gather all the required documents for converting your non-immigrant O visa into the Thailand marriage visa. The extension will occur during the final 30 days of the 90-day permit to stay in Thailand. Present your visa extension request along with all the documents to the immigration office. The process duration is approximately 1 month before the issuing of the 1 year Thailand marriage visa. So yes, I was right. It is 1 year. Um, Thailand marriage visa renewal. The Thailand marriage visa has a 1 year validity and can be extended by submitting the same documentation used in the initial application. It's important to be aware that the funds in your bank account must be at least 3 months old before renewing the visa. If a divorce occurs, the validity of your marriage visa will be revoked. I just said that earlier. Um, Necessitating immediate departure from the country. So, I mean, I'm reading that word for word from the website, but I literally just said that because I already know the process. I've met several people that were married in Thailand. All right. They said, man, I still have to check in every single year and renew every single year and do a 90-day report. All right. So it's not like a set it and forget it type of process in Thailand like other countries. Um, like in Taiwan, I don't know the process over there, but I'm pretty sure it's nowhere near like how it is in Taiwan. China, I've heard of a lot of people going through difficulties starting families over in China, and that marriage visa, it comes with restrictions. Okay, Japan, I heard it's a tedious process, but it's fairly. It's not like how it is in Thailand. Thailand is is very difficult, right? I mean, the process is easy, but it becomes a headache. So if you get married, let's say you're getting married right now in December, next year, around about December, when you could be spending that money, for Christmas presents for your children or your wife, man, you got to spend some of that money towards, getting your visa, your non-O visa reprocessed. So keep that in mind, man. It's not, there's a huge immigration issue, and it's kind of like, okay, we offer this in Thailand, but we're making the process as difficult and as painful as possible to get people to leave. All right. Spend your money and leave because it's overcrowded in places like Bangkok. It's just overcrowded. I'm going to talk about that some more in the next video, how really they're going to start pricing out a lot of people. Right. And what's going to happen is I feel like Vietnam is going to be the new spot, quote unquote, I should say, or the Philippines, right? But I'll talk about that in the next video. So know that before you get married, all right? Like they said, it is you can, in order to get a non-O visa, which is a marriage visa, you have to fly out and fly back in to activate it in Thailand. You could either get it from your home country, Thai immigration office in your home country, or you can. I'm pretty sure you can get it processed in Singapore, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam at the Thai immigration office over there, right? So you want to have funds saved for this process. You need You need to pay for the visa, which I saw online it was like $80, but you need to pay for a flight. Or if that's too expensive, you could take the bus over into neighboring countries. I would not recommend Cambodia because they're going through a lot of issues with Cambodia right now. So if you want to take the bus up to Laos, you can, but I would not recommend that. Being on a bus for 9 or 10 hours, I've done that a couple times before. It is not fun. Taking a bus all the way up to Laos. It's not fun at all. All right. So know that in advance. Now, now that you've gotten married, you started a family, you have children, you got to figure out what's next. And if you have an entry level job, you're not going to be able to afford private school or to put them in an international school. If you're making, like they said, 40,000 Thai baht, that's the average amount that most people are making teaching English in Thailand. So you're sending your child out to a public school. And when you send your child to a public school, your child is going to get treated differently than everybody else. All right. It doesn't matter if they're half black or half white, they're going to get treated differently. I've spoken to people that were half black, half white. I've talked to parents. All right. Um, I've spoken to parents, I've spoken to children. You know, they have issues. Why? Because they're not 100% Thai, right? The only difference is the Thai student or the child that's half white, they'll get attention, right? Uh, a woman who was half white, half Thai told me this, but most people didn't even know that she was half Thai because she had red hair. Her father was from the Netherlands. She had red hair. She just looked like a typical Caucasian woman, but she spoke Thai. And yes, indeed, her mother was Thai. She told me that the students growing up, they just thought she was Caucasian. They did find out she was half Thai. She spoke Thai. So they was like, oh, okay, if your dad's white, then you must be rich, right? You must be rich. And we want to hang out with you. We want to be your friend. This is what she told me. And so her classmates was, for a while, they was trying to, come over to her house to see how she was living. When they finally, when I guess one or two of them, I don't know, I didn't ask her how many people came over. Right? I didn't ask her if it was one or if it was several. I didn't ask, but she said that when they found out that she was kind of just living like everybody else, so more than likely her dad was probably just some English teacher making 30 to 35,000 Thai baht. She said word got back around to her school how she was living, and those same people that wanted to get closer to see how she was living, she said they did not want to hang out with her no more. She said that they stopped becoming her friend. And she was like, yeah, she was kind of a loner at school. Now there were a couple guys that were trying to get with her, right? And she said she tried dating Thai men, and she said never again. She said they're very clingy, they're very controlling, and she was like, I'll never do that again. All right, but that's for a different video. So your children will go through difficulties of being accepted at school. Why? Because you're not 100% Thai. You're not of the culture. You're a foreigner. You're an outsider. It doesn't matter about what your mother is, right? Whereas like America is like a little bit different. Some people that are mixed, they try to play that whole, well, my mom is this, my dad is this, right? To certain groups of people. You cannot do that in Thailand. Nobody cares, right? They might be able to use your children for modeling. So let's say the father's Caucasian, the mother is Thai. In this picture, that's not how, this is AI, but that's not how children come out looking if the father looks like that. Okay. Obviously, in this photo, even though it's AI, the daughter's father is Thai. All right. I've seen mixed children that were um that were mixed. I've seen them, right? Black and white. And they don't, if they're black in the dark skin, they come out looking more black. If they come out um mixed with white, Caucasian, they come out looking, lighter, hair is a little bit lighter as well. Hair and skin color is lighter. Okay. Another thing that I've noticed when I was teaching, and this is not only just in Thailand, but this is also Thai, Thailand, Taiwan, right? I've always had, um, I've always had girls. It's mainly girls that were mixed. You don't. I've never met like a mixed boy. I've probably seen them out and about, and who knows if they were living there, they were visiting, right? But as far as like the schools that I've taught at or language centers that I've taught at, right? I've done demo classes, and let's say, I mean, the whole class could be Thai, the whole class could be Chinese, and then there's that one biracial child, right? Especially if they're mixed with white, Caucasian. If the father was white or Caucasian, um, that child is like very, very needy for attention. If that makes sense, I noticed that, right? So you'll have a class, and it's a third, a third, a third. All right, especially if they warm up to you. You know, you'll have a third of the class like, hey, raise your hand if you guys know what this is, or who wants to try this out. You'll have a third of the class that might raise their hand. Say, oh, teacher, pick me. I want to try. I want to try. I want to try. Right? You'll have a third of the class who's hesitant. Like, oh, I don't want to go first because I don't want to embarrass myself in front of my classmates. Then you have a third of the class that's shy and don't want to come up. You won't win them over, right? A part of the third who always has their hands up, I noticed it was like the mixed kids, right? And because the father, they know English pretty well, but every time I had like a mixed girl in the class, they were the loudest. Teacher, pick me. Teacher, pick me. Pick me. I'm right here. Pick me. Pick me. And it's kind of like, okay, I could pick you every once in a while, but there's 40 kids in here, right? I got to pick the other kids that want to participate also. If you don't pick that girl, the mixed girl, every single time, she will get angry and start crying. I've seen this many, many times. And I'm like, man, relax. I picked you like 2 or 3 times. Like, let's give other kids a chance. It doesn't matter. They will throw a fit. They will scream. They will holler. They will cry. They feel neglected, and I'm like, what? Why is that? Like, the Chinese kids, they don't do that. Like, if both parents are Chinese, they don't do that. If both parents are Thai, they don't do that. The kids, but the ones that are like mixed, especially if like the father's Caucasian, the mother is Thai, or the mother is Chinese, they will throw a temper tantrum if you don't call on them. Like I have to do more research on that and study, kind of like the psychological behavior behind it before I come to a conclusion. But I've always noticed that. But maybe it's because they want to shine in the classroom and outshine all the other students because maybe they're not accepted. This is my chance to shine. I don't shine any other time in class because no matter how hard I try with all the other activities, I get put down or I get told, no, you're a foreigner, right? They struggle a lot. And this goes back to some of the black content creators on TikTok. I feel like to a certain degree it's irresponsible to say how, man, there's no racism over here. I don't know what anybody else is talking about. I want to experience this for the rest of my life. I don't experience racism, prejudice, yada yada. I get that to a certain degree because I know people who were just honest about the food, the good and the bad, cost of living, the good and the bad, the culture, the good and the bad, and prejudice, the good and the bad, racism, the good and the bad. I know people who did show the good and the bad, and they were shadow banned on TikTok. People were threatening them on TikTok. People were really coming after them. They did not have a lot of followers. There were other people creating content bashing that person, and I'm like, I don't know why people are bashing somebody over their experience, right? If that's my experience, you bash somebody. So that's just like if you go to a restaurant and you like the food, you like the service, you went there twice, both times you enjoyed the food and the service, you have every right to give a restaurant 5 stars. But if there's somebody else who feels indifferent to how you feel, and it's kind of like, hey, the server I got, they were rude. They didn't give us extra napkins when we asked for it. We didn't have any condiments on the table at all. Um, you know, they went they just took our order, gave us the food, never came back to refill our water, to refill our tea, to refill our lemonade. Um, they kind of rolled their eyes at us. It's not busy in here. The food is overpriced. It doesn't taste good. They have every right to give a 1 or 2 stars to a restaurant if that's how they feel, right? Who are you to shame somebody over their experience at that restaurant? And you if they have a negative opinion, you have the right to have an opinion about their opinion, but to flag somebody and to shadow ban them, I think that's crazy, right? That is crazy. So there's there's children, adults who are biracial from all over different countries of Asia who've gotten on the internet to talk about their experiences, what it was like growing up, and um it would go viral. There were people who I met that were mixed that didn't have a a social media platform talking about their experiences growing up, and in person speaking to them, they would they would tell me what it was like for them growing up, and it didn't matter if they were half black or half white. You know, it kind of I noticed the same thing no matter who I talked to that was biracial was always, hey, I'm not Thai. It doesn't matter who my mother is. You're not Thai. Stay out of Thai business for the most part. You're never 100% accepted. You're the farang. right? You're the farang, and you're going to be treated differently and unfairly. That's just how it is. All right. Now, as you get older and you're looking for a job, of course, you know, this couple right here, if a child were to come out, were to come from this couple right here, the older, this couple, their child will have more business opportunities. All right. Even though they're not Thai, they need to know English and they need to have dual citizenship, right, in order to survive. You know, parents, let's say the father is African or Black American, whatever, somebody of melanin, they need to know English and they need to have dual citizenship if they want to stay and survive in time. And pretty much you're going to just be teaching English unless you come up with another idea. All right. Unless they're able to find themselves a spouse, and they could start a business and, their spouse is mainly the face of that business. I've seen that where you'll have like an interracial marriage and they start a business, it's going okay, but the spouse is mainly the face of the business to bring in customers, right? The spouse that is Thai, Chinese, whatever, they're the face of the company that bring in the business, while the foreign spouse, right? The foreign wife or the foreign husband is, and most of the time it's a husband. The foreign man, especially of melanin, right, is doing most of the legwork behind the scenes. All right, because if you walk in an establishment, it's kind of like, hold on, who are you? Why own it? Bye. I don't give a damn how good your burgers are. I've seen it. All right. So, babe, why don't you just stay in the back and cook the burgers? I'll be in the front. I'll be the face in the front. Okay. I'll do all the hiring and you just cook the burgers, and or you bring in your income from your job over here to help fund the business while I do this over here. Um, I've seen that. Language centers, restaurants, you name it. When I was in Taiwan, even though I know it's not Thailand, but I was in Taiwan, I got hired from a language center. And well, I was brought in at a language center in Chiang Mai. No, I'm getting confused. Shinju in Taiwan. And the husband was African that spoke pretty good English. And the wife was Taiwanese. And pretty much the wife was running the show, right? The husband, he would, I'm like, he was there reaching out to emails and people who were sending out applications. I could tell it was him writing and responding back to all the emails, setting up the interviews. And he was there when I arrived. But the person who had the final word was the wife. The wife was there at the interview as well. And once I passed the interview process, then I had to speak to the wife. And so the reason why I didn't stay is because they didn't have the money I was looking for. I'm like, nah, that ain't enough. that is nowhere near enough. I need this. Right. So the wife in that situation mainly was more of the face. You have to deal with the customers, the clients, the parents, the children, right? Yes, the father or the husband is there helping out as well, but it's almost as if you just kind of there as a teacher, right? You don't have the final say. You can't have the final say because it looks bad if you have the final say, because then the kids will go to the parents will then go to the wife and say, hey, your husband is doing too much. My child is scared of your husband. seem like he's angry, and really he's just doing what every other business owner in Taiwan or Thailand is doing also. It's just that, the children and the parents don't like uh the skin color of the father. So they just like, hey man, I'll just take my kid to another language center. All right. So it's very difficult raising children of mixed race in school in Thailand. That's why there's international schools in Thailand, but the international schools are very expensive, right? So that's why I tell you in advance before you think about traveling over to Thailand to get married, or to think about or to think about meeting someone to get married and having kids. Man, you got to understand, look, if you make a teacher salary of 35 to 40,000 baht, your child is going to suffer the most. And look at the content creators that I talked about, the black content creators from TikTok. Listen to their message. Understand that their algorithm is basically being shown to the majority of people in Thailand and other neighboring countries in Asia. So they don't want to say anything foul, because the majority of the audience, or that comes across their videos, whose videos, well, whose algorithm their videos come across, more than likely is going to be Thai. So you better say everything positive if you're trying to make money, and if you want to stay and live off of your earnings from TikTok in Thailand. The moment you're too honest, they're gonna ban you. Somebody's gonna flag it and they're gonna ban you, right? But it's irresponsible to a certain degree to say that, nah, this isn't happening out here, when it does. Because once that person has a child, right, their child is going to suffer, right? It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's going to happen. The moment you put them in preschool, the moment you put them in kindergarten. Every father, besides besides some of the children that I met in Japan. Japan is kind of, Japan, they still experience it, but it's a little different. I'll explain that in a minute. But in Thailand, I've talked to parents, I've talked to children who either have mixed kids, or I've talked to mixed kids before. They all go through it. They all go through it growing up, right? The best thing for them to do is to, unlike like what you see in Japan, there's a lot of kids that the father's black, the mother's Japanese, but the children, they want to fit in with Japanese kids so much they don't bother trying to learn English. It's like, no, I don't know English. I'm Japanese. All I know is Japanese. I don't speak English. I am Japanese. This is my mother. Yes, that's my father, but this is my mother. They don't care. So they get older, and by the time they graduate high school and they got to go out into the real world to get a job or to be an entrepreneur, whatever their path is set in life, they it's almost impossible for them to find decent work. And it's kind of like, damn, I should have just, yeah, I should have learned English. I should have spoke English with my dad growing up the entire time. Because now, it's biting me in the ass right now. Right? The best thing and I was telling somebody this the other day. Those content creators, the black content creators from TikTok who say, "Oh, there's no racism over here in Thailand." There is none. Man, if you were to snap your finger, if I were to snap my finger and be able to take away their ability to know the English language. So if I snap my finger and now by the snap of my finger, you don't know English anymore. All you know is Thai. You don't have an American passport or a Canadian or a British passport. All you have is a Thai passport. You would struggle. You would struggle. As a matter of fact, you would struggle so hard, you would have to move out into the countryside where all the dark skinned Thais are and live a primitive lifestyle. You think they want to live over there? No, they want to live in a big city just like you, just like other Thais, just like the light skinned Thais. But the problem is, that image, they don't want the image of the dark Thais over there in public places working, the image out in public and them being treated fairly. Does that make sense? I don't want to get too deep. I'll move on from this subject matter right here. But understand what your children is going to face. This is why, you know, it pays the cost to be the boss, right? You got to be a boss type of cat to go out to Thailand and be like, hey, look, man, I make hundreds of thousands of baht per month. Now I can start a family. Now I can get a house. Now I can get a vehicle. And the children that we have, I can afford, to put them in an international school. I visited some of these international schools, like the campuses are pretty nice, right? But that's for the most part, that's the best environment to to place your kids in if you can afford it. But it's very expensive. As a matter of fact, I used to live next to an international school. I used to live next to two international schools in Bangna. International School, Bangna, America. What was the name of that school? Okay, let's look at this one. International School, Bangkok, children age 2 to 18, right? So if you don't want your child to go through, um, let me see if they have the tuition on here. Hold up. Hold up. Hey, this is the dean right here. The headmaster. They don't call him principal. They call him the headmaster in Thailand. Okay, this is the dean right here. This is the principal. So you can put your kids as young as 2. You can send your kids as young as 2 years old to Brighton College International School, Bangkok. All right. So college is just the name, but so prep school 2 to 11, senior school 12 to 15, sixth form 16 to 18. So elementary school, middle school, high school. All right. This would be your best bet to make sure that your child comes home and has friends. They feel like I said, what was that video 2? Not find your, what was it called? Find your village. What did I call it? Hold on real quick. I'm forgetting what I call my videos. I did a live stream, finding your tribe. Yes, my bad. Excuse me. So you put them in an international school, they can find their tribe amongst, some of the kids that they go to school with, right? They might, it might be them. Um, it might be your child versus somebody who's mixed and their father's British from the UK, then a Chinese, child, and somebody who's African and another person who's Colombian, and they're all best friends. And from the age of 2, they're friends from the age of 2 to 18. Whereas you stick your child from preschool at a public school in Thailand, and from 4 to 18, it's like, you know, they're just shunned the entire time. And that's not cool, right? I remember there was this one girl that I went on a date with. At the time, she was a college student. This was 10 years ago, right? So she's probably in her 30s now. And her father was black. I forgot what country he was from, but she was very cute. I still got pictures of her. And she told me what it was like going to school. And she was like, I just prayed that, you know, I've been praying my whole life that I just find somebody to love that would love me back. And this is that and the third. And I just thought it was very, very sad. And she did manage to find friends, like a handful of friends at her school. But I remember she showed me a picture of, like, yeah, this is my birthday party. My friend showed up and gave me some gifts. Her friend gifted her skin whitening cream. Her friend gifted her skin whitening cream for her birthday. Isn't that messed up? Like, hey, get lighter. Here's some skin whitening cream, get lighter. Happy birthday. I was like, wow. But here's the thing, right? This right here, this Brighton College International School, this looks expensive. Okay. They got a pool, an Olympic sized pool with the logo in there. Obviously, this looks photoshopped. Um, Respectfully, and it might look, the colors might look this vibrant. It just might be this clean. When you arrive to the school in person. From my experience, no. From my experience, a lot of photos that you see coming out of Thailand, they're Photoshop. They do a really good job at photoshopping, you know. But hey, it just might be that clean. Let's look at the tuition. So prep school, 2 to 11. Join the prep school. Inquire, apply, fees. Let's look at fees. So they got nice uniforms. You can see, um, there's children of different nationalities there that your child can make, become friends with. Learn more about our fees. Hold on, a different screen popped up. Ooh, hold on. I want y'all to see this. So, Brighton College International School. Term 1, term 2, term 3. I guess this is all in a school year. You're talking about 590,000 baht pre-nursery. So that's probably 2 years old, right? In 1 year, you're spending, this is like 18,000 baht, 18,000 US dollars. All right. Let's do the conversion. Thai baht 590. Yes, $18,732. $18,732 for a 2-year-old for 1 year. So you got to set aside. I mean, I'm pretty sure. See, you have to pay by term. So the first term, 236,000. Hold on. I gotta get a different currency converter app, because these currency converters apps, they're starting to put ads. They're starting to put ads on these apps. Okay, so 236,120 baht. The first term you got to pay $7,497. So basically 7,500. If you want to enroll, The first term, $7,500. Then the next two terms are $5,600. 7,500 in the beginning, 5,600 for term 2 and term 3. So in a school year, for a 2-year-old, 1 year, 18,000 baht. I mean $18,000. 18,000 US dollars right here. Nursery, reception. Year 1. Okay. So what's year 1? I guess so if year 13 is 18 or 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So you just add 4 years. Year 1 is for a 5-year-old, $823,500. And 5, 6, 7, 8. Then once they turn 9, it goes up a little bit. So by the time they become a junior and a senior, you're paying $30,000. This is 30,000 US dollars for them to go to school at an international school. All right. So year 1 for a 5-year-old is 26 grand. All right. It's $26,000 for a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old. Then once they turn 7, it jumps up to $854,500. So this is $27,130 right here. 27 grand. 27, 27. Right? Now, once they turn 9 years old, it goes up a little bit even more. So this is $28,500 right here, US. 9, 10, 28,000. By the time they're 11 years old, okay, and I'm pretty sure this tuition it covers transportation, school activities, uniforms, food. I'm pretty sure it covers all of that. All right. So when they're 11 years old, $28,615. When they turn 12, so 12 and 13, now it's $29,212. Just round that up to 30 grand. Right? When they hit 14, no, wait. 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah. So 14, 15, $31,397. 16, 17. This is $32,441 right here. Application fee is 5,000 baht, it's $150. Admission fee, 200,000 baht. So that's 6 grand. Non-refundable, non-transferable. Security deposit, 150,000 Thai baht. You're looking at 4 grand, $4,500 right there. So to send your child, all right, dining hall fees. Ooh, no. So this right here, this is just tuition. This doesn't include there's a separate fee for food. I didn't even see this. Okay. So pre-nursery, 2-year-old. Pre-nursery to nursery for 2, 3 years old, right? 2, 3, 4 years old. 30,000 Thai baht per year. So you just add this on to this. So 30,000 baht, that's a grand. That's $1,000. 1,000. Well, this is a little bit less than 1,000. Yeah, it's about 1,000 per year for you to eat. And then there's a siblings discount. Okay. You got 2 kids, we'll give you a 5% discount. 3 kids at our school, 10% discount. 4 kids, 15% discount. Billing calendar. So term one, you got to pay June 13th, 2025. Next one, invoice is due. Invoice sent is June 13th. Invoice due is June 27th. The term starts August 25th. Then this is the second term. So you got to pay June 27th, December 12th, April 3rd. Oh man. Pupil withdrawal notice deadline. All right. So here's the thing, man. It costs. If you want your child to feel normal, you know, to get a good education, to feel normal, to be involved in extracurricular activities, to have a social circle. I mean, they're still going to go through their ups and downs, but this is how much it costs right here every single year. This is how much it costs. Splash, will you ever cover the recent war again Thailand is having with Cambodia? No. No, I'm not. I already covered it once. Yeah. Yeah, theoretical. It's a bag. You got to drop a bag to send, and you could do this versus send them to public school. Now, when they go to public school, the education system is totally different. And believe me, I don't want to say, I'll talk about that. Did I already talk about education? I think I did. Hold on, let me look at my. Let me look at all the videos that I did. Hold on. Hold on. So the first video I started off visa, accommodation, arrival, finding your tribe, dating, and this one is marriage and children. I'll talk about education next, right? And that's going to hurt some feelings. But this is part of like your children's tuition, so I'll talk about what's it like going to university and what's it like being a teacher, working and or going to or being a student. All right. So I'm talking about what your children are going to go through. I'm going to tell you what I went through being a student at a university in Thailand. All right. This is what it costs to provide a good education for your child and to yeah, this is what it costs right here. Nice uniforms, good school, um, to be amongst other students that they can hang out with, they can call on, they can do assignments with, you know, they can go to the prom with, right? Just to somewhat sort of feel normal, I'm pretty sure. You know, they'll go through the same things they'll go through in public school, but nowhere near, not on the same level. All right. Um, then another thing, man, I've taught at public schools. It's like these schools are just public schools are just government funded, right? They're set aside. Um, Set aside government funding for some of these schools, and it's like they don't care. They just pass kids along. There's a lot of kids that they might show up the first day. You won't see them again until the midterm exam, And it's like, where have you been all year? And you know what their teachers will tell them? Their teachers will tell them, hey, don't worry about it. Just let them take the test. And they fail everything. They get a zero. They don't get one right, right? But you have to pass them along. And on the other classes, they pass them along. The only thing they make them do is they make them take the test. If they weren't there all year, they make them take the test. They fail everything, but then they have to write like an essay. If they do the essay, they make them write the essay at school. If they write the essay, they pass them along. Okay, we'll pass you along. You can come back to school for the next semester, which they won't show up, right? They show up on the last day. They do the same thing, take all the tests, fail all the tests horribly, write an essay, then they pass them. They move on to the next grade next year. That's how public school systems are in Thailand. There's going to be some kids that want to learn. They just like, hey, it's a good showing up to school. See, showing up to school for Thais is kind of like it's just networking. That's it. It's a social gathering. It's networking because they all pretty much come from the same neighborhood. So if they focus on the relationships that they build with each other at school. So if they're able to build a good relationship with all the other classmates, find their tribe at their school, these are the people that these are the students that as they get older, once somebody starts their own shop or start their own business, right? Let's say somebody becomes a mechanic, or a motorbike mechanic, or somebody opens a noodle shop, or they have a food truck and they're selling fruits, or they're juicing and they're selling fruits. These are their customers. These are their clients. Then when they grow up to start a family and have kids, their clients they're the whole family. That's why they focus on their relationships and how they bond with each other at school. They don't care about the grades. So they have you thinking that, well, in America, y'all are just dumb, and look at the failure rate in some of these places in America. In America, and that's starting to change. Basically, you get the grade that you earn. So if you didn't do shit all year, you earn the zero, you fail, you got to repeat the third grade all over again. Whereas like in Thailand, they just pass you along. So it's almost like it's up to you whether you show up to school to bond with the other classmates. Because if you don't, then whatever you do growing up, whether you work a job or you start a business, if you start a business, you're just going to have to start from scratch networking. Whereas like you're going to have to build your clientele up from scratch networking as you get older, or you can start now while you're in middle school, high school, and then now it's kind of like, okay, I got this many people to call on when I open up my shop. As a matter of fact, I had a couple students, their parents own certain small businesses outside of their homes, right outside of the school. So I would have them in my class, they're goofing around, whatever, class clown. Then when I would leave campus, I'll walk outside of campus because it's right in the neighborhood. I would see the goofy from my class with their parents selling food and snacks to all the students. Well, I shouldn't call them a goofy, but you know what I mean. They act goofy in class or whatever. I'm like, hey, that's the class clown from 315, right? But right outside of the school campus, I mean, there's houses right there, right outside of the gate. The let out, he has to run home, which is right there, and help his parents out cooking and serving his classmates so that they can make money. So I thought that was cool, right? But that's how it is in public school in Thailand, where it's like some people, especially coming from the West, how they were raised, and then they have kids in Thailand, and then they send their kids off to school. They probably don't want to send their kids off to an environment like that, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but you got to be able to afford it. Like, no, I want them to actually learn and be active and be accountable for the effort that they put in each assignment. I want them to actually study and understand hard work. You get. I want them to know what it's like to get what they put in, right? And if you fail, then you fail, and you got to hear it from me because it's actually costing me a lot of money to send you to school just for you to be a failing. So we'll help you with your studies, but you got to do your part and study and go to school and get good grades. It's more than just networking and mingling with your friends at school, right? We're teaching you about hard work, right? So, anyways, I've been traveling a long time, and it seems to me a lot of these cheap countries, the longer you stay in them, they're not as cheap as advertised. Basic needs are marked up as luxuries, especially a place like Thailand. Thailand ain't, it's not cheap no more, or it's not going to be cheap anymore. I mean, have you been? They're building up a new mall, a new luxury mall. Man, come on now. Hold on. Let me show you something. I don't think I can show it on here. Uh I can only show them the pictures. I can't show the videos. Louis Vuitton. I want y'all to. They built a new mall, and they built this new Louis Vuitton store. It's called LV The Place Bangkok. Hold on, let me pull it up on Google Maps. LV The Place. Hold on, let me. No, 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 no. Let me pull up Google Maps like this. LV The Place Bangkok. Let me show you something. I don't want to show the cafe. I mean, we can show the cafe, but I want y'all to see. Okay. Because they keep saying, Thailand, cheap, 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 right? $500, you can live like a king. That's not true, right? Does this look cheap? This is in Bangkok. Of course, I mean, sure, it's Louis Vuitton, right? But they're building this to attract a certain demographic in Thailand, right? They're attracting people, a certain demographic of people to come to Thailand when they build stuff like this. Louis Vuitton stores don't look like this in America, right? There's a store in Paris that's in the shape of a bag, right? It's the building is designed like a bag, right? You see what they're attracting over there. That's why, a lot of people, you pretty much got to have money to visit Paris, but a lot of people, when they get to Paris, they say how dirty it is, but it's still expensive. Singapore, they have an interesting shaped Louis Vuitton building that's on the Marina Bay Sands Bay, right? It's an interesting looking building. Doesn't look like this, right? When they build stores like this, right? This is inside of the store. It's like a museum slash store. When they put this in your neighborhood in Bangkok, right? What they're doing is like they're setting a precedent. First, the malls, it was Imperial World. Then it was Central World. Then it's Central Rama 9, right next to Siam Paragon. Then comes M Quartier Emporium. Then Siam Paragon. Then Icon Siam. So each mall, each uh tourist attraction, it's bigger and more glamorous than the last. They're outdoing each other. You understand? If I showed you this and I never told you that this was in Bangkok, you would think, okay, whatever city, whatever store this city is in, I'm pretty sure that city is expensive. You would have thought that this was probably in Singapore. No, it's not in Singapore. This is in Thailand, right? Thailand is becoming expensive. They're going to price a lot of people out, right? This is why, international schools over there, you're paying between 18 to 30 grand, 18 to 35 grand a year for your child, for your 6-year-old to go to school, to get a decent education. Look at that. All right. So when they're bringing stuff like this, when they're bringing, who's texting me? Uh, when they're bringing stuff like this into the country, um, man, yes, this is a high end designer brand, but I don't even have to show you Louis Vuitton. I could show you the movie theaters. I could show you what the movie theater looks like. I could show you what restaurants look like in Thailand. Man, they're trying to attract a certain demographic, a certain audience to price a lot of people out. That's the only way they're going to get rid of all the foreigners that are on overstay. Increase the cost of living to drive out a lot of the losers that want to overstay their welcome in Thailand. That's how you price them out. That's how you move people out for the most part. Like Singapore, I mean, it attracts a lot of foreigners, but it doesn't attract as many foreigners as Thailand. Taiwan, yeah, it attracts foreigners nowhere near the amount of foreigners that's in Thailand. That's why they don't have an immigration overstay problem in Taiwan. That's why when you go to the immigration office in Taiwan, that's in Taipei, it's empty. It's empty. You can go in at noon. You can go in at 11:30 in the morning. You pick a number, you'll be seventh in line. There's 7 people in front of you. That's it. You show up at 11:30 at Cheng Watana immigration office, and if you're dumb enough to sit there and take a number, whatever, it don't matter what number it is, you pretty much, hey man, come back tomorrow. That's what they should tell you. Come back tomorrow and show up early because there's thousands of people ahead of you. I seen that new mall they built. I'm actually supposed to go to Bangkok in a couple months. Yeah, it's a good place to. I'm not saying it's not a good place to visit. I'm not saying it's not a good place to live. It's a great place to live, especially if you got the money, the lifestyle. Oh, I never went to the what I'm not. Let me take that back. I never what I never bought food at Big C, right? We're talking about grocery stores now. Big C is kind of the equivalence to like Thai, Big C is like Thailand's Walmart. I never bought food in Big C. I would buy certain, you know, cleaning supplies or whatever, like a broom, a mop, toilet cleaner, toilet bowl cleaner, right? Sponges, dishwasher detergent, laundry detergent. I would get that sometimes from Big C if I was in a rush, but I never bought food from Big C. I would always buy my food from either Signature or Tops. That's it. And it depend on which Tops I was buying it from, right? I would go all the way to M Quartier Mall to the Signature. Hold on, let me show you Signature. We're kind of off topic right now, but that's cool. M Quartier Signature grocery. So it was called Signature. I don't know why. The Signature grocery store at them Quartier shopping mall in Bangkok is the Gourmet Market. My bad. Gourmet Market. How do I open this in Google Maps? Okay. My bad. It's called the Gourmet Market. Gourmet Market M Quartier. So if you got the money, right? I would go to grocery stores like this. They have a gourmet market in, I think they got a gourmet market in Siam, Paragon, and Central World also, right? This is where I would shop at. I would go here all the time. I would get all my beef, pork from the butcher here, right? And then there was another company I would it was called Paleo Robbie. I would go on paleorobbie.com. I would get all my meats shipped from over there, beef, grass fed, right? I would get it all shipped from Paleo Robbie, right? Or I will come here. Yeah, right when the store opens, they they stretch in the morning, they do their dances. They do this in the morning right when it opens. I've recorded them doing this. I still got videos of them doing this. Uh the fruit, the fruit is good, amazing at the gourmet market, but the quality of food, the quality of meats and the cuts and everything is it's not on at the same par as Big C. Big C it's like I was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm gonna get all my food from the gourmet market. So you can live whatever lifestyle you want in Thailand. These grapes are expensive. I think these grapes are like $15. These Japanese grapes, they're like 15, $20, right? They get it imported from Japan. Um, so you can live on a budget. You know, I would say if you really want to enjoy Thailand, you gotta at least be making like $3,500, 3,000, 3K to $3,500. Right? That sets you up nice. $3,500 a month, that sets you nice in a nice condo in a decent area. Get all your food from the gourmet market, eat out at different steakhouses, restaurants. Look at that. Look at that marble, the fat, right? But it can add up. It gets expensive. It gets expensive. So don't think you're just gonna show up and make $500 a month and you're gonna be living like that. That's not true. Sounds like more people are getting priced out. Yeah, Thailand will price out all their travelers. It's only for influencers and rich tourists now. Yep, it's turning into like it's a long way before they'll get to a level of Singapore or Dubai. It's a very long way, but um I don't think you can compare anywhere else to Thailand, right? Because they still have a lot of other issues that they got to fix. But it'll get to the point where $1,000 a month isn't going to cut it. $1,500 a month isn't going to cut it. You need to be making at least 2,500 to live a decent lifestyle, right? Hell, 3,000 isn't going to cut it, right? Especially if you want to put your kids through international school. I mean, man, you got to be making 10 grand a month to comfortably. What was that? That tuition 18 grand a year? And that's just for school. We're not even talking about, you know, clothes, gifts, um, the utility expenses, food at home, and extracurricular activities outside of school. Yeah, I mean, to be able to put your kids through international school, you got to at least be making, like 10, 15 grand a month in Thailand. You got to be making bank. Although it was in the broke backers are cooked. Sad because those people built their economy. Now they're getting the boot. Yeah, it's just because most of these people that are backpackers, they're the main ones that are on overstay, doing drugs or getting into criminal activity, you know, getting caught doing weird shit. They just want a better caliber of foreigners entering into the country. But in order to do that, you have to do a lot of demolition work. You got to tear down a lot of slums. You got to relocate people in that country, in that city. You have to push people out, right? For example, Siam Paragon Mall, there used to be some slums right behind Siam Paragon Mall. They moved them out because I went into those slums and I talked to the people there. They said, yeah, they're giving us like 25,000 baht to relocate, but we don't know where we're going to go. This is what they told me. They said, we don't know where we're going to go. Yeah, it's cool they're giving us 25,000 baht, but it's like to move all our stuff over there. And it's like, what are we going to do for work? And, you know, because in the slums, they had their own little market there, right? They have their own little ecosystem within the slums there. But it's like if you relocate us someplace else, then who's to say that this other um neighborhood or province that you send us to, who's to say people are gonna buy from us? They got their own shops. They're selling the same things as us over there. But why? It's like the aesthetics of Cyan Paragon. We can't have these people in this neighborhood in these slums messing up the aesthetics of the area next to Cyan Paragon. You understand? In the mall, nobody in the mall would hire these people. So I asked, like, hey, so from the outside looking in, somebody might say, well, how are these people poor? And they live right behind the most upscale mall in the country, right? Why don't they just apply for different positions inside the mall and make money and do better for themselves, right? From the outside looking in, somebody might say, okay, these people are lazy. No, they did apply. They didn't want to hire them. They asked, okay, where do you live? Well, I live right behind the mall in the slums over here. It was like, we don't want you. We don't want your kind working at this mall, right? That's what they told them. I asked them. So it's I felt where they were coming from. Like, hey, look, man, I live right behind the mall. I could be on time every single day, but they just didn't want them. They wanted a different caliber of people working at the mall. A lot of people are getting priced out. This is why they hire a lot of immigrants. When you go inside some of these establishments, these restaurants, these high-end malls in Thailand, you think these are Thais working there. No, some of these people are like Burmese, Laotians, Cambodians, Malaysians, right? Some of these people are different nationalities. And the salary they're offering, according to Thais, is too low. Like at these restaurants, there are restaurants that are offering 25,000 baht per month to work at these restaurants, and they cannot hire Thais at all at these restaurants because Thais, they say that the salary is too low. Things are becoming more expensive. 25,000 baht ain't enough. I remember when I first went to Thailand, 25,000 baht was like a decent salary. 25,000 baht per month. That was like what, $750 a month. That was a decent salary at that time. Now it's like, hey, it's 25,000 baht. That ain't shit. And here's the thing: a lot of foreigners that live in Thailand teaching English, they're only making like 8,000 baht more than that. They're making like 33,000 baht per month. So a little bit less than a grand per month. Right. So now the Thais are saying, hey, you want to hire us, you're going to have to pay us more. So the minimum that Thais want and what they're getting hired for now is what foreigners make at these schools. The problem, many travelers don't make that. They're gonna just go to another place like Vietnam, but it's not as good. Air clean as Thailand. The people aren't as friendly either. Um, well, I haven't been to Vietnam, but I went to school with a lot of Vietnamese people. They were cool with us. Like I was cool. They were a lot more friendlier. I'll just say they were a lot more friendlier. The Vietnamese people I met in Thailand, but you know, I understand foreigners from Vietnam that come over to Thailand are going to be totally different than the people that you meet in Vietnam. But they got their walking street and everything in Vietnam, and it looks pretty nice. So this is where a lot of people are Look, that's the new spot now. They're pricing people out of Thailand and they're moving them over to Vietnam and the Philippines. For 2,500, 3,000, you might as well just live in a small town in the US and try to develop skills that will earn a higher income. I realized living abroad is for retirement only or vacations. I would say I wouldn't even say it's for it depends. I wouldn't even say it's for retirement. I'll just say like if you got it like that, you just like, hey man, I'm retired, you know, I'll stay here for about 4 or 5 months and I'll come back home. Because when you get injured and you're looking for immediate care and a cure, I would definitely want to be in America for that, right? If you're able to make it back home, and if it's not that serious, if the injury is not that serious, if the uh, if the injury is not that serious, if the illness is not that serious, and it can wait, then come back home, right? But you know, to live permanently retired in Thailand, I wouldn't do it. Now I would do like 3 4 months out of the year and then come back, but no, not full time for life. Usually the slums in Asia, the people don't technically own the property. They squat in them and they pay utilities. When the government want to take the land, they're shit out of luck. I just learned that they job slim hop. Yeah, slum hop. Yeah, yeah. These people in the slums, they're positioned in high end areas. Like I said, right behind, you know, Central Ramadan or Central World or Scion Paragon. But nobody in the mall wants to hire them. And that would help. That would help these people a lot, right? That would help the people that live in because the slum that I was talking about right behind Scion Paragon, it was very small, right? I mean, they could have gave each and every one of them. There's enough jobs inside the mall to employ each and every one of them in those slums and still be able to hire different people from all over the city. But the mall was like, hell no. The mall said hell no, right? Why not? These people they don't have to fight through traffic. They just didn't want them there, right? And there's other reasons why I think that they didn't want to hire them, but I'm not going to say that on here. I'll talk about that in another video. Uh, that third country national winter situation is just like the Middle East. All the customer service workers are Indian or Filipino. The Arabs get mad because no one speaks Arabic. Yeah, you want to know something? In New York, there are restaurants that don't have. I should have done a. I had it saved in my phone. I should have done an article on this. Well, I should have done a video on this, but I have the article in my phone. I'll probably make the video tomorrow if I have time. But uh, there are restaurants in Thailand, no, in New York City, and there's nobody manning the front. It's a screen, and in the screen, there's a woman with a headset, and there's like a wallpaper behind them of like the restaurant logo, and they're taking people's orders at the front. And they're it's like a it's like they're FaceTiming and video calling. It's like a video call they're doing, but these people are in like the Philippines, right? They're in the Philippines video calling a computer at restaurants in New York City, so their face is on the screen and they just take orders for however long their shift is, and they only pay them like $2 or $4 an hour. So they're outsourcing receptionist jobs to people in the Philippines. Hold on, let me find this. Restaurants sourcing receptionists. Let me find this. Wait a minute. Okay, I got it. Hold on, I want to show y'all something. Oh man. I guess it was a video. Can you see this? Can you see this? So you walk into a restaurant, there's an iPad. Right? There's an iPad. There's a big screen, right? You got to look into the camera above, and there's a person with a headset that's taking your order. When they can hire somebody locally to do this job, they'll get somebody from the Philippines to take your order because they could pay you less. This is how far they're going with outsourcing. All right, can you see this? You walk in, you tell them what you want, they'll give you a total, and then you got to pay at this kiosk right here. The people in the back will make it for you, hand you your order, right? So instead of the person, like the cooks or the people prepping the meals in the back, somebody coming out from the back to take orders in the front, they rather outsource it to somebody in the Philippines by way of a video call. It's crazy. I agree. I used to believe the lie of six. Hold on. I used to believe the lie of expatriate life or expat, but I realized the people that do it and live comfortably are rich, or they bounce around and don't stay in one place too long. USA is their base. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you have to go to another country and you're relying on TikTok as your income, or you got to get a job to fund, to provide for yourself, you have to go to another country and find a job there. Don't do it. Right? Like I said, if you're rich, then relocate to that country. You can relocate to whatever country you want and live comfortably. Because, man, whenever they change the laws weekly, they change immigration laws weekly, right? And here's the thing: if you're teaching English in another country, man, that's going to become automated very soon. That's going to become automated. So I remember there was one company in Thailand. They wouldn't even send you to a school to teach English for a class. They would have you come to a building on the west side of Bangkok, and you would sit in a room, and you had on a headset, and you would video call. You would just do Zoom calls to schools in southern Thailand, right? government schools in southern Thailand, and that's how you got paid. And it's like you don't have to be in Thailand for that. You could just do that from home in America, right? But I guess they offer that because um, meetings, you gotta show up, check in as if it's a regular job. This I guess it prevents people from being lazy or oversleeping, not showing up on time. You know, you got to be reliable. Remember, these kids are showing up 5 days a week on time in class, right? You got to do the same thing. We got to be able to count on you. So, that's why they just have you show up to a building, an office building in Thailand. It's like you got to be there to get those kind of jobs. But if you're working, no. If you got to go someplace and look for a job, no. And you're not a specialist, no. I wouldn't do it. And then you want to have a family, you want to have kids, and it's like, you know, the best outcome for your children to get good education, um, to teach them about, hard work and dedication, you know, to set them straight for life. It's best to put them in international school in Thailand, and look how much that costs. And that's for people that are rich. You just put them in public school, no disrespect, trust me. Trust and believe. It's like, what's the point? Especially if they're mixed. What's the point? They're gonna have to get an international job. Like I remember that girl that I spoke to who was half. Uh, what do they call them? People that are indigenous to the Netherlands, right? Her father was from the Netherlands, mother was Thai, right? When she graduated school, she worked at a call center. She worked at a call center overnight. She worked overnights. She worked nights at a call center in Thailand to speak to people in America. I guess it was to provide customer service for people for a company in America. Like the outsourcing, she was working for an American company because the job was being outsourced to Thailand, but it was like, so to work in an environment, in Thailand, it was like, and she was saving up to move back to the Netherlands, but it's like, nah, I want to live on my own when I go back. And guess what? On a salary like that, it was going to take her years to save. All right, it would take her years to save. Could she get a job and work amongst other Thais? No, because they didn't look at it as Thai. But do you want to be? In a situation like that, I understand who your parents are, but if they do look at you as Thai, then the salary might not be as good. Is It might not be as good. Might not be enough for you to save and to move, or to save and live a comfortable lifestyle. And a woman like her, she wants to be strong and independent, right? You just don't want to get with another because she didn't date. She didn't date Thais. She was like, nah, they're clingy and very controlling. So all she dealt with was foreigners. But it was like, man, I'm strong and independent. And, I just kind of want to have affection every now and then from somebody, right? have somebody in the bedroom every once in a while. That was kind of her thinking. So I'm like, oh, okay. Right. 2 incomes is better than one, but hey, you can live your life how you want. Wow, that's crazy. With the rise of AI, that soon will be gone too. All the fast food restaurants overseas, they use automated machines to send orders to the cooks in the back. Billionaires are destroying the world. Every first or second world country is literally going through the same economic crisis, low wages, influx of immigrants, taking jobs, high prices you can't escape. Well, that's when they're going to introduce socialism and tax the rich. They're going to tax the hell out of the rich. All right. But this stream has gone long. This stream has gone on long enough. I'm going to stop right here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys be safe. Peace.